welcome to the Somewhat Daily Backup. It's the news for Wednesday, the 28th of October. With me is Gus, sex magician Ronald. I checked. He's happy with that name. So
of course I am. I got a graphic.
It's fine. But that's the name that he's been given and is now stuck with for all eternity.
Yeah.
I hope you're all well. Big shout out to Victorians for powering through epic lockdown.
Amazing.
Hope you're enjoying some relaxed social distancing.
Hope you're watching
lockdown.
This on your phone outside doing something with other people. Not too close, but
Yeah.
Yeah.
Gus, that's not our audience. Let's be real. That's not our audience.
No one's jogging around the botanical gardens watching the Somewhat Daily Backup. But if they are, good work.
I can imagine you doing that.
Thanks. Yeah.
Big shout out to today's Pocketeer patron. We do a shout out every backup. And today it's Pextraordinaire.
No. We did this before. So I mixed this up. Pextraordinaire is the extended title of this thing. It's the Pocket Patron Pextraordinaire. And they are someone starting. They start with B.
Pextraordinaire is the name of the Pocket Patron?
No. Okay. So this is rightly confusing. So you're well and truly within your bounds to get confused about this. It's called the Pocketeer Patron Pextraordinaire. So they're the extraordinary patron, which then we evolved into Pete's Perfect Pocketeer. So it's like they're
then why are we still calling it Pextraordinaire? That's
because it's
dumb.
a stupid
that doesn't
word.
make any sense.
Exactly. That's why we're still calling it that.
I'm deleting it right now.
No, we'll never remember that stupid word.
All right, Pete's Perfect Pocketeer. This backup is Beatnik AU.
There.
You get a shout out mainly because you have a cute kitty cat in your patron display picture, and that's enough information to know about you and that you're a good person. You love animals, and
they're a beatnik? Wasn't a beatnik like a poet? Or still is? I thought, isn't that like if you're like a beatnik, it's an old-timey word for someone? I don't think it's a racist thing. I just worry every time I reference anything from 30
etymology of beatnik.
Every time I reference something from 30 years or older, I'm just worried that I'm using it wrong. And that's not a cultural thing. That's just a Gus thing. I will generally use that word wrong. So I thought a beatnik was
I'm not getting a short enough answer to go into it now.
That's
spawned
code
many
for
essays.
That's code for Urban Dictionary said some wrong stuff about it, so I'm not going to change it. Beatnik AU, I'm sure you are a lovely person, and that you're maybe I think they're spelt differently as well. So
and has a lovely cat.
And they are truly pextraordinaire of a person.
Sure.
How are you, Stephanie? We haven't done this before, have we?
No. But this, you know what? I should have orchestrated this in my effort to make us become best friends.
So I love that that's what you're doing, but you're still playing a game called Best Friend Forever with Nick. And I'm like, that's cool. That was just a perfect opportunity.
Our thing. Yeah, that's
your
thing.
thing.
That's our thing. But you and I can have a thing, and we'll figure out what that is once we become closer as humans from all the time that we spent together. Let me just read you the last interaction that Gus and I had on Messenger.
Oh no, did I ignore something again?
He said, Destiny 2 on Steam, isn't it? And I said, yep. Then he replied with a fun Destiny gif. And then I said, yay. And he said, such a chunky install. And I said, where's it at? And he said, download-wise? And I said, yeah. And then there's a little thing that comes up that says he read that and then never replied.
You know what they need, though? They need a little icon next to that saying he read that and then fell asleep on the couch watching Netflix with a half glass of red wine, and then woke up and went to bed and was like, oh, it's 3 a.m. And the last thing on my mind was that response. So I do apologize.
All you had to do was be like, oh, it's 80%.
But I would have had to get off the couch, walk into my study, check it, walk back.
If you're not going to check it, just be like, I don't know.
Stephanie, you act like I don't pay attention to the advice you give me in my life. And I don't think that's really a fair way to address how we have our relationship.
Oh, I see. Dry shampoo.
Dry shampoo, baby.
Thing? I don't want that to be our thing. We'll get a better thing. The backup is brought to you by Hero Pocketeer Tim from the Learn Programming Academy. Tim has taught close to 1 million students with his courses. They're all video-based. They're easy to watch. They're at skill levels that you can even watch them offline on your phone. All different skill levels. They're really cheap as well. Most courses are like $20 or less. So for $20, you can become a programmer even if you can't read.
That's true. I mean, if you can't read, maybe do a course on reading first before you dive straight into coding. Coding uses a lot of language, a lot of letters.
Based on one of Nick's jokes that I haven't actually followed through on. I'm not a funny person. Can't make jokes. Something about you can't read, but you have to read, and something about programming.
If there's something in brackets.
Okay, anyway, you can go to lpa.dev/backpocket to download the PDF and get some programming lessons headed your way. Let's head
starting coding. I'm finally starting to carve out a tiny bit of spare time, and I might be able to do a course, at least one.
You're learning to code?
So the idea is that I made a promise with chat a long time ago that I'm like, I'm going to do at least one of these courses. And then the world has just been very busy as of late. But as we're going to address in the news, things are getting less busy. So I might have a little bit of time. And
$20 or less. I mean, that's a bargain.
Yeah, that's what I've been saying the whole time. But not a bargain enough for me to actually dive in. So my plan is to do that and at least have a bit of coding. Problem is I can't read. So, that's going to make things tricky.
Such a hilarious joke. Okay, so today we are launching into the news with Facebook entering the cloud gaming space. Of all the news stories, I found this one oddly the most confusing because I don't understand Facebook's push into gaming. I understand why they want to push into gaming, but their whole approach is weird. Facebook as a streaming platform, and now I guess cloud gaming allowing you to stream, I guess, certain high quality games without having to download them to your phone or to your desktop.
High quality is a stretch.
Well,
I think, yeah, I think they're going
when we think about mobile games, I don't know, I guess the sort of the higher end ones, presumably.
Yeah, I mean, I think we'd be surprised at where mobile games are. Mobile as in like Facebook games, I guess we should call them, because like your Facebook game is your Farmville or your in-browser style one. But I feel like this is a push towards mobile games, but then it's a push towards streaming mobile games, not downloading them. And predominantly, mobile games haven't been large install bases. Like, they're not big games that use a lot of processing power, but they've been getting into that realm. And I think, obviously, the game they're highlighting here at the top end of it in all their screenshots is a racing game, which is Asphalt something 9. It's just Asphalt 9.
Asphalt 9 Legends.
Which is like, actually has a bit of a following as
it's a pretty decent racer for a mobile game.
Yeah.
But then as soon as you start to put that onto like I guess if people want to play it at work on their Facebook browser.
Yeah, I guess is that what this is? Because they've come out saying like, look, they're not. This isn't here to replace like gaming, like PC or console gaming. They're not getting into that realm. They're just adding it as a service. And I think, yeah, really, the one way I could see this happening is like if you're going to stream a mobile game on your phone using a cloud-based server, why don't you just install that game? Like, again, they can't be much bigger than a gig max or something like that. So that's a weird way to use it. In browser, though, might be the only way people do this. And again, I'm thinking of people in their office being like, I got a lunch break. I don't have any games on my Dell computer at work. Sorry, Dell. I'm just using, they're the ones that are usually the least, the ABC had them. You could load this up and you could maybe play a bit of, cloud playable ads. I'm seeing highlighted there as well.
Peter was anxiously highlighting that.
I love that we've got like Pete highlighting things that we're either saying incorrectly or, but yeah, that's cloud playable ads. So
yeah, I feel like I think you're right. I think that the desktop pushes is the most like obvious thing to me. I can't imagine why you would cloud stream something to your phone when you can just download it. The ads are going to be awful.
Oh god, yeah. I mean, that said, I've played one or two mobile games that have an ad where you could interact with it, and it's just that little moment of going, oh, I have to wait 30 seconds, and it's like, navigate a zombie through a tropical shootout. And I'm like, okay.
No, but isn't the point to get you to click on it that will then take you through to download the thing?
Sometimes not. Sometimes it then at the end says, do you want to now go play this game? And it was just the ad was playing it a little bit.
So the ad is like a mini game to get you psyched for the...
Totally. And sometimes the mini game is better than the crap game you downloaded that is full of ads. And you're like...
Well, sometimes it's completely different.
Yes.
Sometimes the thing that you're looking at is not indicative of the game at all. Bizarre.
Totally. But at that point, you're like, what the hell am I doing with my time? I'm just going to go and play something real on a console. So, look, I think this will be, like, I'm not surprised, as you said, that Facebook's pushing their gaming element. Gaming is part of the world. Facebook wants to take over the world. This is just another step that they're taking in that direction. I think it'll be pretty avoidable, though. And as I said, apart from that office, that accountant that wants to play a bit of Asphalt or WWE Card Smackdown or something, yeah, go for your life.
Well, it's lame. Something else that maybe will be considered lame by a lot of people is the fact that Cyberpunk 2077 has been delayed again. It's been delayed till the 10th of December. They announced it on Twitter in the early hours of this morning. They've blamed the delay on the difficulty of simultaneously shipping a game across so many platforms. And they said, since Cyberpunk 2077 evolved, almost being a next-gen title somewhat along the way, we need to make sure that everything works well and that every version runs smoothly. Where it might seem unrealistic, when some says that 21 days can make a difference in such a massive, complex game, but honestly, they really do. I feel bad because I feel like I've manifested this into existence.
You think this new story occurs entirely based on the fact that you kind of wanted a bit more time?
I do, but you know what? I wasn't alone. So I think it was collective manifestation. I was just playing games with some friends the other night, and we were all talking about like November and the huge slate of games and Cyberpunk, and everyone was like, yeah, so excited for Cyberpunk. And I was like, yeah, I can't wait. And then there was kind of an awkward silence. And then someone was like, I kind of hope it gets delayed again just so I have a bit more time. And I was like, I've been thinking the same thing. I'm just not ready. It's so huge. I don't want to wish like that on anyone, but I feel like if we just had a bit more time. And then I saw the news story this morning and I was like, what else am I capable of?
What if the CEO of CD Projekt Red was just skimming Twitch that night? Was just skimming, like, had that suggested channels, or was maybe you went streaming, but just managed to stumble across that and just heard you guys say that and was like, nail in the coffin, like, cool. All right, storms into work the next morning. It's like, guys, we're taking a little longer. I feel like that could have happened. Look, reading that statement. It's funny, when you hear these delays, sometimes it's hard to translate the actual tasks that they still have to do, because it can be so sort of the minutiae of going, oh, we have to get little patches ready and we're optimizing it for other platforms. But reading that statement saying, like, we have to get it running across all these systems well, and then like listing out all the consoles on PC and then Stadia as well, you're like, yeah, there's a lot. If they have to make sure that game runs flawlessly, it's a lot of work still to do. And so I am
CDP are perfectionists as well. They would never put out something that they weren't 100% happy with. But obviously everyone's thinking of the devs now. You know, the CDP have said that everyone will be compensated for the extra work. But, you know, they famously said that the studio would not go into crunch in order to finish the game, and then came out later on and was like, hey, so we've realized that everyone's going to need to go into crunch to finish the game.
It's not technically crunch, it's just we're going to make everyone work a little harder. It's like, yeah.
Well, no, I mean, I feel like they already announced previously that they were going to have to crunch just to release the previous date. So the fact that they're delaying it now is either better for the developers or much, much worse, depending on what the current state of things are for them. So
it's tough, isn't it? Because it's all speculatory to know what that working environment is like. And you can put yourself on both sides of the table and be like, okay, yes, I'm sure they're really addressing it. They're stretching it out. They're making sure, like, maybe this 21 days means that the crunch isn't as intense, and they're making it realistic. Then at the other, and like, there are people I'm sure who are working on contract-based developers who know that this is part of what being a games dev is. It's part of that tail end. But then there might be some people who are being dragged along by those perfectionists who don't want to go in there and work 6 days a week and that kind of thing. So
there seems to be, like, you tend to get a pretty mixed response from developers. Some developers are just are like, you know, we can't live like this and that kind of thing, although being afraid to sort of speak out about it. Whereas other developers are like, you know what, it's expected. We go into this period where we have to kind of work a bit extra, and you know, so it's really hard to know what the workplace culture is like at the actual studio without being like a fly on the wall. Yeah.
Yeah, totally.
I hope they have good systems in place, at least to kind of compensate people for the extra work that they're doing.
Totally.
If not financially, then just like purely from a work culture perspective. Like, I don't know. I want to believe the best of them.
It's also funny to think about the idea of this announcement of delaying it for this 21 days. Again, it's to do with that optimization and getting it running well. They were saying a lot of the stuff they're putting in goes in this day zero patch. the publicity or the somewhat negative publicity that they're receiving now, when you weigh that up against the idea of launching it in November and having issues, having optimization issues, having huge patches.
The pressure of the new console generation as well. You know, everyone's going to be looking to those games to see, you know, the best that the new consoles have to offer.
Totally. And so that, like, having to weigh that up and say, like, we can push for November, but we're going to have bugs. Like, nothing, we say this in the sense that we're like, just get us the game, we'll be fine with it. But we know from experience that when games are released that have dodgy launches or like anything goes wrong on launch, like the gaming public en masse are furious, and we will, you know, there'll be articles out, there'll be all sorts of hate going around that the game isn't as good as we all wanted it to be. And in terms of expectations, this game is really up there in terms of like that bar is so high. So I feel like the negativity that might be surrounding the idea of this being pushed back is far less consequential than if they brought it out and there were issues. So I think, you know. Yeah.
Totally. There is a behind the scenes documentary that's being made. I think I see people talking about it in chat. So that's going to be really interesting to see whether they address this kind of thing or if it's like, you know, showed in a sort of rosy light, or I don't know if it's the kind of documentary where CDP have like final approval on. A lot of people saying Assassin's Creed Valhalla sales going to skyrocket. It's true. Like generally the sentiment online has been like, I would say mostly relief from a lot of people. So I feel like I wasn't alone in feeling that way. Tarisk on Twitter said to me, normally this would annoy me, but I'm getting quite numb to things going wrong this year. And on the bright side, it lines up nicely with the predicted delivery of my 3080. So that's nice.
Hey, there you go. I will say
there's little wins. You got to take the little wins.
Silver lining where you can. Totally. I feel like this is going to push this for me almost into next year, just in terms of like, that's a busy time of the year in general for me. And like, I don't know if I'm going to be able to start diving into a game like that. Very personal opinion on it. But yeah, on the tail end of playing some other games, that's like getting close to Christmas, family things are happening, travel, if we can, all that. I'm like, do I just put this as 2021 is when I'm going to start this game? But yeah, I know for a lot of people.
I don't think so. I think you will play this when it launches. And I think the reason why is because everyone else will be playing it when it launches. And it's the kind of game that I think of any game this year, it's the one that you want to play as soon as possible, because there'll be key stuff that will just,
right at the start. Yeah.
Yeah. And there's key stuff that will get spoiled because people are crap on Twitter with spoilers. So I think that it's one of those things that you say that now, but you'll have finished Valhalla and then you'll get to the point where like, you're like, oh, maybe I could use a break, and the game will come out and you're like, God damn.
Well, speaking of delays, on a smaller scale and far less impactful, I'm sure, than the delay of a game like that, there was another delay announced by Sony, Destruction All-Stars. Do you remember this game at all? Did you
not
remember
really? This isn't really my game, and so I'm not really affected by the story at all. I feel bad for Destruction All-Stars fans, but this doesn't really concern me.
I remember rewatching this trailer. I remember when I must have seen it in, I think it might have been a Sony event, like in a sort of montage of other trailers, and being like, oh, this kind of looks silly and stupid and they're throwing everything into the game. But then I was kind of like, you know what, this looks fun. I remember chatting with maybe Pete at work and being like, this looks like a fun, almost like Overwatch class-based destruction derby game where you can, I think you get out of the car and you can run around and use powers and still get taken out. It just looks dumb fun. I forgot that I was looking forward to this as a game at all. Again, it is not the kind of thing that I will spend, months playing, but it does look like a nice little sort of palate cleanser. And so, yeah, this is being pushed back to, it was going to be released on the 12th of November, and it'll now be pushed back to February 2021.
I think available first to PlayStation Plus subscribers as well.
Yeah, I think in Feb, so when it launches, they're going to launch it as a PlayStation Plus game. So if you have PlayStation Plus, you'll be able to download it then. But yes, I think in terms of a delay, I don't think anyone was counting down the days for this game. But it still looks like a lot of fun and kind of like a Rocket League meets Overwatch. Which is cool.
Yeah, it does. Actually, looking at the footage, it does look like quite chaotic and fun. I guess car-based games never really excite me too much, but
fair enough.
I mean, I'll play it when it comes out, particularly if it's on PS Plus. I'll give it a go.
I wonder if it is. They have said that it was originally priced when to be released in November at £70. And then, when it launches in February, it'll be part of that. So whether or not it's just whether it's a purchasable game or if it's only through not only through PlayStation Plus, but it kind of looks like a free-to-play game almost, you would think. But I think at this stage, they're going to try and up the numbers of the player base maybe by putting it as part of that service, which could be advantageous for them.
It's super smart. I think it's super smart.
Are you getting more into it now? You've seen the trailer a couple of times, Steph? Are you thinking, which crazy character am I going to be? That kitty lady getting run over by cars? Come on. It's fun.
I'm going to be the weird wolf furry hybrid.
Okay, fair enough. I'll be kitty lady then.
Instead of sex magician, you can be kitty lady from now on.
Done. I'll take anything at this stage. Anything at this stage. But yeah, pretty wild and wacky. Speaking of wild and wacky...
Wait, no, it's more that it's one of like 3 launch titles, says Peter.
Right. That's true. Yeah,
on the
it's
PS5.
one of the...
Oh, right. Okay, so it was one of the launch titles on the PS5 and it's been delayed. So now PS5 has fewer launch titles.
I mean, isn't that just the case along with all the both the new consoles at the moment? Or anything that was an exclusive.
Is anyone going to get a PS5 at launch anyway? Who managed to get in the pre-order? I don't know anyone.
And then when they get it, they're like, "What do I play?" They're like, they're just taking it apart and putting it back together because it does that so easily. That's the fun thing to do with them, apparently.
A friend of mine who doesn't game so much, but is interested in getting into it, was like, I was thinking about buying one of the new PS5s, but it says they're sold out. And I was like, oh, bless.
I still think I'm going to try walking. Nick and I were talking about just wandering into a JB on day one. There's like, oh yeah, we had a few here. Here's one. And walking out with it and just being like, I did it. It happens sometimes. It just happens.
People in chat have managed to get their hands on PS5, so there'll be some PS5 gamers at launch who are Pocketeers at the very
But
least.
again, less launch titles out there for both consoles at the moment now, which is a bit disappointing. So, if you didn't get in there, you got a bit of time until you have to play Sony Destruction All-Stars. Yep, remember that title.
We're a few days away from Halloween, so a lot of games are doing different things for Halloween, including Rainbow Six Siege, which has done one of the cutest / most terrifying changes to their game for Halloween. Sugar Fright mode sees tricksters and treaters, which are the attackers and defenders, trying to kill each other over and over to collect candy, and the first team to get 50 candies wins, which is the first time that Siege has included a mode that has respawning.
Yeah, which is actually the really interesting thing.
At these character models. This is so terrifying. This is like Five Nights at Freddy's terrifying for me.
It's nightmare
I don't know
isn't it?
what it is. It's almost like it's tapping into something in my childhood, like Sesame Street, but then giving them automatic rifles and the weird kind of character movement.
Here's what I reckon. Here's what I'm going to psychoanalyze what's creeping you out here.
Yeah.
It's that the faces and the heads are being put on anatomically correct human-sized bodies.
Yes.
So they haven't given them large wonky, you'd think predominantly when you have cute heads, you have big head mode. So these things should be giant heads, bobble heads, all that kind of stuff. Downland.
And they have cute puppet bodies.
Totally. And they should either have cute puppet bodies to go with it or giant heads. But they haven't. They've gone with little heads. That little dance movement.
I don't like it. Oh no, I'm gonna have nightmares. Oh gosh.
Well, you can play the game, Steph, and you can shoot them, and that might help you. But yeah, because obviously they're maybe going to keep the hit detection, I would assume, around the bodies the same. They've had to keep those new crazy heads the same size as the original operators. They can't just give you a
full-size character model.
Yeah, exactly. So they've done
Overhaul.
That. Which I think is amazing. I love that someone started with this idea and then realized that it doesn't work with the mechanics of the game.
Who came up with this as an idea? Who was for Halloween, what would be really spooky would be Muppets. Because that's not my go-to spooky thought.
Yeah, but it's creeped you out more than I've seen you creeped out in a while. So it
has. But I guess somebody must have. These ideas always come when people are just messing around. I think in whatever software they're using to create things. And they just say that kind of looks like a Muppet, and I'm kind of terrified by it. So let's put it on all of our Siege characters.
Give them credit there. Instead of doing the typical thing, which is it's bats, it's pumpkins, it's dark, it's spooky. I mean, I think Siege in the past have done. They've tinkered around with the idea of having a monster wave mode, and I think they did like a plague mode that wasn't part of Halloween, but they've done that. They've done spooky dark maps. So they're like, let's just go the opposite. Let's go really fucking creepy Muppets, which I love. But I'll just, the final point there is that, yeah, the first time to have a respawn mode in their game is in Siege is interesting, because that is obviously a team-based game where you know how many operators are left. Every mode that they have has always been you get 1 life per match. So it does make people play that game more methodically. They use the gear correctly. They're, you know, creeping around maps, good communication. Switching to a game that has a respawn mode means you're going to be falling into the kind of like Call of Duty multiplayer stuff where it's just you are charging in one after another. Whether or not it's infinite respawn spawns and it's a kill count at the end, or you've got like extra lives, I don't know. But I'm keen to check it out to see how that changes that as a shooter as well. Because
I feel like it would be infinite respawns, because it really is just the first team to get 50 candies. So I feel like you can just keep respawning until one team hits 50.
Yeah. Well, the good news is it came out yesterday, and as you said, it'll be running until November 10th. When is Halloween? I always get
31st of October.
Okay, right.
So that's on Saturday.
This Saturday.
Oh my God, it's the first year that Halloween has been on a Saturday, and I just have zero interest in it.
Also, like, it's the year that no one has any interest in it. It's like, wear a mask. It's like, no, we've been doing that all year. I don't want to. So,
it just seems like the wrong time to have a big party, doesn't it?
Exactly. But I'll play that. I'll play it a little bit just to creep you out.
You can be a Muppet right now.
I love Muppets. I fucking love Muppets. So, you know, that's another story. That's for a post show.
Yeah. Our next story is that 7 CSGO pros have been banned for betting on matches. CSGO pros participating in the MDL Australia, which is the Mountain Dew League.
Oh, yeah.
Which is such a huge drink over here.
Father, I'm a professional sports person. What are you playing in? The Mountain Dew League. Oh, God.
The esports was like lost all legitimacy for me once there was a Team U porn.
That's right. Oh, dear.
They've been banned for a year for betting on matches. The Esports Integrity Commission, which I didn't know there was, but I'm glad that the Esports Integrity Commission exists, said that as a result...
Dr. Pepper.
So that as a result of the joint investigation between the ESIC and the ESEA, we've discovered that 7 current CSGO professionals playing in the MDL Australia placed bets on MDL matches during their participation in the MDL. Some of these individuals engaged in betting activity related to matches they were playing in themselves. And I think that's key, because at first, being someone who doesn't really understand sports or betting, those aren't areas that I participate in at all.
Sure.
I didn't really understand what the problem was. I was like, they don't know what the outcome of the game is going to be. So like, where's the harm in them betting on it?
Yeah.
And I realized that you could like throw matches and stuff. They're betting on games that they're playing in, or even people that they know, other teams and stuff that they have friendships with or whatever. There's a possibility that they can throw matches and stuff and then win a bunch of money from it. So I understand that's why that rule is there, to stop people from any kind of betting that could see them reaping a sneaky profit.
Well, like you said, like as esports becomes more and more a legitimate thing with teams like YouPorn and all that kind of stuff, the pitfall there is that, match fixing is, it runs rampant in all other competitive sports, which involves, betting and then adjusting the outcome of the game. And here it's even trickier, I guess, because like in a real sport, match fixing can be one of those things that's like, is it obvious to see someone in a team-based game throw a match? It's very, are there things where people like in horse racing adjust the weight? There's things that you can get caught out for. John Candy can put too much weight at the front of a bobsled. There's a reference if anyone gets that one. But it's like in an esports game, in a video game, how you can see that level of either throwing the match can be probably harder to manage, and I guess that integrity group need to keep an eye on the betting that's happening. It's going around each game, and then how do you catch people out for this stuff? I just think it would be really hard in esports.
I think it would be tricky, but I feel like, I don't know. I feel like somebody would tip them off.
Yeah, I think that's probably what.
Or I don't know if they had back-end tracing to that kind of thing, or what have you. But
good to see
they're on top of it.
Good to see they crack down on it, because this is the kind of thing that you would think something like esports. You've got a lot of young athletes,
especially
you've got a lot of people who are hungry for money.
Yeah, and our esports scene is still kind of like growing. We don't really want to see this stuff like people throwing matches or just like screwing around with that stuff to hurt our chances of like being able to compete on a world stage with, other countries who are doing really well out of it. So.
And there's a lot of money moving around, but as we said, like it's one of those things that esports professionals aren't earning heaps of money from just regular tournament play. So it could be a very alluring, I think, thing to do. And so, I'm glad to see that they're nipping it in the bud.
Chat is loving your Cool Runnings reference as well, Gus.
I just rewatched it the other day, and it is just perfection in a film. I mean, the film started, and I was like, it's a little more racist than I remembered. Like, it stereotypes Jamaicans hard, and I was like, oh, yeah, okay. But I did love it growing up as a kid, and it's got such a lovely message, and if you haven't seen Cool Runnings, watch it. And John Candy's last film, before he passed away. Anyway,
I didn't know that.
Sorry, that's a downer.
No worries. Something to get you back up again is that teens are using Mario Kart music to finish last-minute homework, which was like confusing to me because I didn't really understand how that would make you complete your homework faster until I realized that it's the Star Power song that they're using.
Oh, God.
To try and get themselves to like hunker down and write faster.
It's a terrible idea. If we get the audio here now, let's just double check. Tell me if it's coming through for you.
Yeah.
No. I forgot about my 5-page essay in Midnight Cyberpunk music.
Yo.
This is a bad idea.
No, there is totally validity to this. In like retail stores, studies have shown that when they play like upbeat pop music at a certain like BPM, like people are more likely to buy stuff. Like they get kind of jazzed into a mood, but they're like, yeah, I'm going to buy this freaking jacket. And whereas if you put on like Enya or something, people are just like not inspired
falling
to buy
asleep
anything.
in the change rooms. Yeah.
Yeah. So there's totally like, I feel like something like that not even just upbeat music, but music you associate with going fast, I think is going to automatically get you into a gear of performing.
I guess,
rapidly.
But I would say for something that looks like what we're here seeing in this very scientific TikTok here that's showing what this student is doing, writing an essay where you need to be like, calm your brain to collect your thoughts and put them into concise. Unless you're doing something like data entry, I can't imagine that having that kind of music pushing you on would be healthy for the structure of your essay. For someone who wrote practice essays at school, like if it was something really mundane that you just had to do a lot of really fast, yeah, go for it. But essay writing, God, no.
Well, this person had a 5-page essay due at midnight, so I think they were beyond being able to churn out something of quality. It was all about just getting words on the page as fast as possible so they could just get it delivered. It
would just be like a mess of writing. You'd be like, the corporate system has always spent years finalizing the you just start writing like the phonetic madness of it. I couldn't imagine it being. I'm a person who I can't work listening to music that has lyrics. I need like a really slow. Pete knows this. I love my my like synth chill vibe, quiet, low BPM. Just that. I love that study music. Have you the one with the girl in the little room with the cat and the rain on the window, the little anime Ghibli girl? Have you seen that one? Yeah. I'm all for that. So this is just nightmare fuel for me.
Yeah. As a consequence of this, I guess movement. Mario Kart music in general has seen a surge on platforms like Spotify, according to chart trackers. So everyone's kind of getting on the star power drug.
Can I be a massive hipster wanker, video game hipster wanker? Literally like 2 days ago while I was working, I was doing some POC arts. I was drawing them. I was listening to Zelda low BPM remixes. So it was all the music from Zelda. It was like the rain song and stuff, but done to like a really slow tune with like, just like a really synth chilled out vibe to it. So I'm a culprit of listening to Nintendo music, but like the remix slow stuff, that's what you need to work to. This would just cause you to make spelling mistakes. You would forget your topic. It would be a nightmare. I would recommend the Super Mario 64 underwater level theme. Pete, if you can get that up and running, that is the ideal study music. That will calm you. That will get you an A+, or at least an A if you're... It's
an EDM remix of the Mario...
Oh, I would say just the general. It's Mario 64 underwater theme. Like, we're possibly going to have to watch an ad
in order. Yeah.
Just this music
Ah, yeah.
This one, if you're studying, just calmly type your essay out. Think of the structure.
This is
have
so
you got your
you, 'cause
Have
it's
you
so
got your
80s.
intro? Have you then like actually rebutted your point?
Or early 90s.
Have you done your references? You've still got time. Take your time. Here's the best bit.
Kirby Gamer Wife says this is giving her underwater level PTSD. Not the intended effect.
No. I mean, yeah, if you're running out of breath, that's probably not helping your essay writing either. But weird kids these days in their TikToks. I just can't get behind it.
The other big news that came recently is that there is going to be a Netflix adaptation of Assassin's Creed, which is huge, great news.
Tell me why, though, Stephanie. Why should I be excited by an Assassin's Creed show?
Why? But I don't. When you love something, don't you just want to consume as much of it as possible?
I mean, yes. I guess this is coming off the fact that I only recently, and by recently in the last couple of months, watched the Assassin's Creed movie. There was nothing else to watch. It was a rainy Sunday, and I watched. I know this isn't going to be that, but the last piece of media I had for that was the movie. And I don't remember if you liked it or hated it, but I don't remember you loving it.
No, I agree. It was terrible. The movie was a massive misstep.
Yep.
However, my one remaining hope at the end of that was I hope this doesn't mean they're done with trying to adapt this because they had that failure. And I think what has happened, I'm very curious to know if this went into development before or after the success of The Witcher on Netflix. Because everyone said to me, how good would a Witcher TV show be? And I was like, I said that same thing. When I love something, I want to consume as much of it as possible. So I really want it to happen. But I was like, I'm so nervous because I need it to be good because it's the thing I love the most out of, every game world ever. But I think a television series we've seen with Game of Thrones and so many other big budget things is definitely the best way to adapt something because it gives it more breathing room. There's less pressure on it to do well, based on the one sort of hour and a half. It kind of builds over an arc and, people have access to it already via a streaming platform that they're already subscribed to rather than having to go to a theater.
Yeah, they don't push it on that marketing department to try and get the push into the box office and that sort of thing. That's a good point. I mean, of all stories to tell that need breathing room as well, the Assassin's Creed series to really sort of spoil that the lengthy kind of story that happens not only in the worlds or the time periods that the assassins happen, but if they're going to tell that actual overarching story of the animus and the humans in the real world and then going back in time, there's a lot to get through there. So I think, maybe as a series that makes
I don't know.
sense.
I went into the sort of Twitter comment responses to this post and I saw a lot of people being just forget about the modern day story, just get into the assassin-y stuff. I think that the modern day animus-y stuff can be included if approached well. I think it provides good context to the world and provides a central character with the opportunity to time hop. However, I think, it does need to be approached with just I feel in the reason why the film failed was they spent so much time focusing on that setup that you didn't get to really enjoy any of what makes Assassin's Creed wonderful. And you spent a lot of time watching Michael Fassbender in some kind of weird asylum, just grappling with mortality and, guilt and existentialism. And there was a bit of time spent on setting up the Assassin Templar conflict, and then it just got convoluted and ultimately boring. I feel like they can just set it up with just this is the thing that we've set up, the animus, you need to go in there and do this because of this thing that's happening. And then it's boom, you're in. Yeah. And at various points throughout the series, they can kind of dip out to just give us a reminder that this is what's happening, but the rest of the time they can just be spent in the animus. Which
feels like the way the games have been going, and by all accounts, I'm sure Valhalla is going to be a similar thing where it's that's taken a backseat to the assassin world, the actual time period that you're in to enjoy the animus stuff. I didn't play Odyssey, but I imagine from what I heard, it was a fairly minimal part of it. The worry for me would be the idea that you can imagine the budget and the scale and the scope of showing whatever time period this chooses to take place in will be very costly in a great sense that it'll be amazing, but that opposed to the B story that's happening in an office block that could probably spend a lot of time filling or padding out a lot of episodes with a bunch of people running around an industrial style building. I hope that, and I don't think it would, but my fear would be that that would cause the production to fill a lot of the episode out with a lot of people in boardrooms and running around being like, oh no, I need to get back in the Animus before we go to the like large swooping scale of someone jumping off a building. But I'm with you. I would love it if they really just dove straight into the actual wherever this takes place and spent 80% of it in the assassin-y world versus the other follow-up part. And just to finish on your point about Netflix as well, doing Witcher, that is a good point. I'd kind of forgotten that Netflix did Witcher, and I was like, that series was so good, and so unexpectedly good, in my opinion.
What's key about that, though, is that the Netflix series of The Witcher was based firmly on the books and not the games, which Assassin's Creed doesn't really have that luxury to kind of go to a literary source material to pull all of their stuff from. Like, they're going to be appealing purely to game fans as opposed to like a broader breadth of people who have enjoyed this universe. I think there's a lot of talk in the chat and going back and forth about the kind of the modern day stuff and whether it should be included. And I think the reason why I like the modern day stuff for context. I like the idea that it's a war that is happening now, and that going into the past is required to affect things that are happening now, and that this like conflict has been happening for centuries. I think what was annoying about it was that they set it up so beautifully, and you would go into the story, but they kept pulling you out of it and making you play through sequences in modern day, like in some warehouse, and when you had to like jump over boxes and stuff. Like, I feel like that was what made people frustrated with it, because they were like, I'm fine with the setup, but once I'm an assassin, let me be an assassin. Yeah. So I think that's why people ended up hating it. Whereas I think if they just kind of very subtly drop it in throughout the season without spending too much time on it, I think it'll be fine.
As a narrative device, you're right.
I'm not making this show.
It is actually something that could draw out and make a more interesting story, especially if you're watching it versus actually having to play it. Just quickly, I'll say that I did play the first Assassin's Creed almost in one sitting. I was crook for a weekend, and so I hired it and played it. And it's just this wonderful flashback to how naive I was at the point that as I was getting close to finishing that game, I was like, maybe I'm going to break out of this modern building that I'm in. And suddenly it's going to be like, now you're using all your assassin-y controls as a real modern person, and you're going to break out and you're going to find the thing he needs, and that's how the game's going to end and be over and never tell another story. And I genuinely thought that I was going to finish that game and then it'll be like, I've played and finished Assassin's Creed, put that to bed. Oh, how wrong I was.
I feel like Assassin's Creed 1 was like a proof of concept. It was very repetitive, and it was just like Assassin's Creed 2 was where it really...
100%, but just for that moment, I thought, like, cool game, Ubisoft. What do you got next? How many more Assassin's Creed games? But I'm excited to see a Netflix one. I think because their quality level, as all TV is these days, is getting pretty damn high. So exciting.
I'm excited. I'm excited and optimistic. I'm excited to get cast announcements as well.
Oh God, I thought you were excited to be cast in it. I was like, Stephanie, this is ambitious. I'm excited to.
I have lofty expectations of what of my level of profile in the world.
We need to work on your audition tape for it. Again, we know nothing about it at this stage, so maybe they're still casting. I was about to say, your audition is this you jumping off something, just like. Oh God! That sounded like a hamster just died. We'll work on that, Steph. I think we will work on that. Similar to that high bar of that high quality level we just saw. Obviously, under that level has to come all the crap, all the lower quality things, all the riffraff, as it were, of news, which I think we're referring to as the leftovers.
I love that we go out on the riffraff too. These are quick fire stories that are less important and don't deserve as much time, but we're going to talk about quickly.
But they're fun things. Enlighten news, Stephanie.
Yes, enlighten news. Super Mario 3D All-Stars is to get inverted controls in an update, which is apparently the way the game was played originally. So people were very angry that it didn't have inverted controls as an option.
Yeah,
I mean,
right.
You're a nostalgia guy when it comes to Mario. Did you play this originally? And were you hankering for inverted controls? The worst way to play games ever?
Did I play it originally, Stephanie? This is all I played for a large portion of my life. I can't remember what they're referring to in terms of inverted controls. I mean, because, mainly with All-Stars, it's like camera controls. Like Mario doesn't, I don't think you ever...
It's when the camera is inverted, it's like the thumbstick is like a joystick and you pull back to tilt the camera up.
Sure, but you never...
right now, we push... This when you invert controls, Gus...
Stephanie, I know what inverting controls is. That's okay. Right. So my point being is that I think Mario 64, you didn't use, like, you used the yellow C-pad buttons to move the camera independently. It's because you only had one thumbstick. So that might have been like, you would have to take your thumb off the controlling thumbstick and move the camera around sort of clunkily. So I can't imagine it being there. But I believe, from I've been told, the voice in my ear was saying that Sunshine had inverted controls because you used a first-person mode to shoot the jet water stream, and that was inverted by default. So now they're giving you the option to be uninverted, which in my opinion, no, am I getting that wrong? Sorry. It was inverted on GameCube, and it is default. You're right. So it was default in this release as inverted. And now people want it to be that.
No. So the default
I've inverted my description of it.
Oh my God. So the default controls are not inverted, and that was what it was for this release. But originally it was inverted, so people wanted an update that included the option to play with inverted controls, and that is what they have now released.
Which, in my opinion, inverted is the right way to go. It always has been.
Ah.
So, no, I'm just saying in all games, it's how I play. It's how I
play inverted?
Yeah, for everything. And
the
thing that breaks me is I'm inverted for first person, but then I'm also inverted for third person, but it takes me a while to remember that when I start a new game. I'm like...
The only time I play inverted is if I'm flying a plane.
What if you're flying Mario with a winged cap? Yeah, got you there. Because he flies.
Yeah. I will accept that. I'll accept that. If any situation where you are flying... I would accept it inverted.
When you are flying, you are inverted.
When you are flying.
I love that these are the leftovers.
With the winged cap.
We are flying around with the Mario, the Luigi. This is racist. We should stop. It's not when it's Mario. Yeah, so I love this is the small bite-sized news that we're actually having a ferocious debate about now.
Well, it got very confusing.
It did.
Our next micro story is a micro Starship Voyager. Which was part of a research around artificial microswimmers. I don't know. A team of researchers at Leiden University have been testing a microscopic 3D printer with a host of exotic forms, where previously they were limited to simple spherical shapes. Researchers have now been able to print helixes, tugboats, and Starship Voyager.
That's the Starship Voyager?
Yes, it's very, very small. It's so tiny, it's microscopic. And it can move on its own, apparently, because it's a part of a I don't really understand this story.
And obviously it's only 5 wide from what I'm seeing in this picture.
Yes, 5 That's a unit of measurement I use all the time.
Because the scientist who measured it was like, it's like 5, yeah, that'll work. That's adorable.
Nanometers, says Gat, maybe.
It's adorable and disgusting at the same time. And kind of strange that they're using a microscopic 3D printer. What's the practical use for this is the thing I'm really concerned. Because straight away they're like, what can we make? Someone said, a tugboat? And they're like, okay. And the Starship, what is it? Not the Starship Enterprise, the Starship Voyager? Like this has no practical use, does it?
It does, I think, for science.
That's not a use.
It can have no moving parts and instead propel themselves through liquid by way of chemical reaction.
That's kind of cool. And I mean, if I'm going to shrink myself down and get into any kind of 5 size starship, I don't want any moving parts in there because I've got to fit in there as well. If I'm going to go on is it the Fantastic Voyage? There was a film about this. On to the next story.
Our final story is a fun one. It's a meme has been resurrected. It's a classic meme, pretty early-ish internet meme, which is Techno Viking.
I put this in here, Steph, because I thought, were you a fan of this meme? Or
I had never seen it before today, but I'm glad to have had the context. I feel like when I think of early internet, I feel like the first YouTube video like that I became aware of as like a funny thing that was internet culture was Charlie the Unicorn.
Yeah, okay. I can pick.
Does this predate that?
This definitely predates that. Yeah.
Yeah.
So Techno Viking.
Cool. I wasn't cool enough. I was like, the internet to me was like ICQ, and I didn't really understand it beyond that.
I guess this was also one of those things that was like incidentally funny. The original Techno Viking was just some footage that someone shot.
Well, let's look at it right now for anyone who doesn't know Techno Viking.
It was basically like someone filming at a music festival. I think that was called like something quite crass. And someone was filming all these people who were like, it's definitely like it's late 90s, maybe mid to late 90s European rave. And it was like this moving rave that goes down the street. And if we skip forward a little bit in it, there's just this character of this guy who's like, I think this guy is like definitely in his own zone. Is what I love about it.
You know when you feel people are just kind of like, they're aware they're being watched and they're like, now is my time to unleash my inner Viking.
But see, what happens is
he's so intense.
He looks like he's super scary, but previously what we just saw there is someone like kind of gets a little over the top and like hits someone and isn't really paying attention, and he grabs them and he's like, "Oi,
he's keeping the peace."
Yeah.
He's keeping the peace.
He's totally keeping the peace.
Which is what Vikings were famously known for, keeping the peace.
Oh, yes. They'd be like, look at the Vikings are here, guys.
Look at this. This is such classic mid-90s, like, rave dancing as well.
It's so good.
All in the hands.
And
all in the hands.
There's the bits that are like, the point is the bit that's really famous, and then the person just coming and giving him a bottle of water, and he's like, smashes that water. You got to hydrate if you're in whatever this guy's doing.
Famous cosplayer, Mall Cosplay, who's done a lot of CD Projekt Red cosplays, specifically his Geralt of Rivia is amazing. He obviously must be very excited about the new Assassin's Creed game because he has created an amazing Valhalla cosplay and has revived Techno Viking in his own version.
Which makes sense because you're like, if I'm going to show off my cosplay, I can do all the typical things, like I can go and balance precariously on bits of timber and like recreate promo stills from the game, or I can go and take this meme while we're all dressed.
He's so good. He does work for Ubisoft. He does a lot of paid cosplay work for different publishers, but like he puts so much work and time into his costumes. He's honestly like well deserving of the position.
The act though is so good.
He's got such an intense expression as well.
He does, and his build, he almost looks like the guy. I love the attention to detail, not only with the 16:9 kind of fuzzy filter. Someone gives him a horn of mead to drink instead of a bottle of water.
Yeah. I wonder if he pitched this to Ubisoft or if Ubisoft pitched it to him.
Oh, I hope it's the first way round.
He's got one hand going.
Yeah. And then
he's feeling the beat. He's feeling the groove.
They're walking through an old village. Like, this is amazing.
It's a traditional Viking village. It's great.
If they turned up like this, they just would have had, like, you know, look at that party vibe. That is a fantastic. That's a fantastic way to announce your entry into it. Well, we're here to pillage, but we're doing it with a smile. We're going to be fun about it. So
that was awesome.
I like that. I like that as a bit of, if it is marketing media, well done. Money well spent.
I love him. I've tried to meet him the few times I've been to E3, but it's hard when you're working to try and like track down a cosplayer to get a photo. But one day it'll happen. He's such a great, one of those people who just lives and breathes cosplay, and his wife as well. I think
embodies the character, even if
he and his wife have done like V from Cyberpunk cosplays with the full light up collar and everything.
Holy hell!
Beautiful. Hey, that's the news. That's the news for today. We've done it. We did it, Gus.
We did the news. Well done. And if anything, we have more stories to share together, to bond together, to really cement the friendship that is continually growing. Have I made it awkward by addressing it now?
Once you respond to my messages on Messenger, then we'll see where that goes.
Hey, what's
we're going to play Destiny. It's going to be great. We started we started the Destiny clan. It's called Back Pocket. Actually, Avexia started it. It's currently set to approval, but we approved them pretty quickly. So if you want to join a Destiny 2 clan,
I definitely will. I will respond to that invite and get amongst
Pretty fun.
it.
I didn't invite you, Gus. You just have to like go and search for it.
Okay, I'll you know what'll happen if you get an invite. I'll read that invite, I'll think about my response, and then I'll fall asleep on the couch again. So
exactly. Please subscribe to our. The Avexia logo is up right now.
Hey, what there it is.
What a coinkydink. Avexia, who is a Vex from Destiny 2. I've played with Avexia. Avexia's great. Avexia's in deep, man.
Oh yeah, I can imagine so. And that logo is, as I remember from the description asked from Avexia, aesthetic AF. Was what they requested with that one. So I'm so glad that I imagine that Destiny is the kind of game that I think someone who appreciates that that level of art design would be into as well. But also, they sound like they're really good at it. So good on them.
Yeah. Please subscribe to our Patreon if you enjoy our content and want to continue to support it with money as well as love. We'll take love. We'll take it. We'll take love and friendship, but money would help us make more of it. So if you want to do that, you can go to patreon.com/backpocket. This week on the show, tonight, Watch Dogs stream.
Correct. Yeah. So I was going to say, not sure if I'm going to have time to play Destiny before Thursday night's episode, because tonight we are doing a special extra sponsor stream for Watch Dogs where both myself, Peter, and Nick are talking about our experience. We've got some hands-on time with Watch Dogs Legion, and so we're doing a special stream for that, which starts at 7 p.m. tonight on this Twitch channel. And we're doing that. We're also running a couple of contests on it, so we will be getting people to call in and do their best British accent. And we'll be giving away a collector's edition of the game, which comes with apparently pretty hefty, like, full mask that lights up and does stuff as well.
Hopefully is it a pig?
It's not the pig. It's the skull with a crown, and the crown has an LED strip around it.
That's cooler. I'd be disappointed with a pig mask. I'd be like, what are you trying to say?
We've been joking about it. So if you haven't seen already, we've posted on Twitter a bit of promo imagery for it. And so I did a pockety with the pig mask. But in a suit, Pockety with a suit and a pig mask just doesn't look like Pockety anymore. So I had him peeling the pig mask back.
Oh, I saw that. Yeah, that was very well done. But
it looks kind of like we skinned a pig. It looks a little like very flesh-like coming off his face. So it was a strange one to do. But yeah, you don't win the pig mask because I think the pig mask is kind of gross and I don't like it. But good on Watch Dogs Legion. So we'll be doing that tonight from 7 p.m. As I said, jump across and watch that stream. We'll be doing that. We'll hopefully have some codes for the game as well. But yeah, so that will be tonight's stream. And then tomorrow, there it is. Thank you, Peter.
Hey!
There he is. That's Watch Dogs Pockety. It's quite disturbing, but yeah, a lot of fun with that game. So lots to talk about. If you've got questions, we'll be answering them live on the stream. And then tomorrow night, and also, Steph, you're doing your own stream of that, I believe, later on.
I'm streaming Watch Dogs on Friday.
Okay, right. So we're
because I didn't want to compete with your stream. And split our viewership.
Makes sense.
And then Thursday, obviously, we're doing Back Pocket proper.
And you'll be there for that, of course.
And I'll be there for that. So I'm going to stream it on Friday.
Excellent.
Watch Dogs. Yeah.
Yep. So that'll be tomorrow night. Will be regular show. There'll be all of us doing our regular things. There'll be me, Nick, Pete, Steph and I with our amazing friendship chemistry that is only growing day by day. And then, yeah, jump across and we check out your stream on the Friday. And that's it for the week, I think.
Yeah, that's it. You can find us on you can find us on Twitter and Instagram and Facebook. We use the same names pretty much everywhere, I think. I think on Twitch, you're Goose Gus. But everywhere else, you're Goose Mangus.
Yeah, I need to get back on that Twitch, actually. Don't bring that up. I've got literally the treadmill behind me, taunting me daily, being like, get back on it, go running. There's no time.
Just walk at a leisurely pace and play some games.
Work.
Play some Destiny.
All right, I'll get on the Destiny train. Well, thank you. Thank you for helping us out with the news and helping me out, getting through the news. I'm tired, Steph.
It's early.
It's too early.
It's 11:30 a.m.
There's so much to do still, but and there's such a long night ahead. But in the meantime, we should probably finish this with a raid, as is customary.
Oh yeah, who are we going to raid today?
If we had anyone that we were planning on raiding, that could be a bit of fun.
Let me have a look at who's live. Miss Molly Makes us live.
Speckle is playing Stardew Valley. That could be a good one. If anyone has any suggestions in chat, let us know. And we'll get over there.
Grace is streaming Granny. Brox is live. We've rated Brox once before.
Yeah, I think we're trying to like rate at least everyone once. Like not everyone on Twitch, but finding a few new faces.
Granny?
That we can,
is it just Granny?
Granny, I'm hearing from Curvy Gamer Wife has said Granny is good.
What does Granny do?
It's always a worry because then we need to see what the stream is, and it's like,
is Granny an actual Granny?
I don't know. That could be quite good. I'm seeing a lot of support for it.
I'm going to take your word for it. Let's just say Granny. GRANNY.
A lot of might be one of the ones where they're not actually there while they're streaming at the moment, which could be a bit
looks
tricky.
like she's on a holding screen.
Oh, that's always disappointing. If we want to send you guys over there, we want to send you over there with a bit of pizzazz.
Let's do Molly or Grace.
All right. Well, we'll wait for the confirmation before we send everyone over there, and could be Miss Molly Makes. The amount of people we've rated in the past who have just like stepped away from the computer at that moment, it's always just like, so. Or I think once we've rated someone who was like saying goodbye to their stream and literally clicked disconnect as it happened. They're like, oh, I've been, and it just like you watch them disappear. It's like such a swing and a miss.
Okay. We're going to do Molly. Thank you so much for watching the news, everyone. We'll see you tonight for the Watchdog stream, tomorrow for Back Pocket. Thank you so much. We're backing out. We're going to raid Molly. We need to have in chat, is there some kind of ASCII food related thing that people know how to do?
Yeah, what are we going to send as our raid message for Miss Molly Makes? What she's probably cooking Halloween stuff because I saw that in her Instagram recently. So it could be something like that. But if anyone's got a suggestion for something, if you haven't seen Miss Molly Makes, does fantastic streams where she cooks video game food and assorted things like that. Spooky food, says Frosty Phoenix.
How about we want spooky muffins?
We want spooky muffins. Sure. All
we want spooky muffins is the raid. Are we ready to raid?
All right.
We're ready to raid. Thanks so much, guys. We'll see you really soon. This is Gus and Steph backing out.
This is us backing out.